Hello and welcome to This is Recruiting. If you are joining us for the first time, This is Recruiting is a webinar series that we at HackerEarth have created to bring to you industry experts from across the globe in different fields of HR, talent acquisition, engineering management, and so much more to tell you about their insights and help you a little bit more about with your recruiting questions and tell you their stories. And if you're hearing about us for the first time, HackerEarth is a leader in assessment in technical hiring. And we do this because we have an entire suite of products that helps you across your tech hiring lifecycle. So we help you with sourcing, with screening, interviewing, upskilling, and continuous engagement of candidates. We do this through our suite of products that includes assessments as well as hackathons. So if you'd like to know more about HackerEarth and about how we can help you increase your hiring efficiency by up to 60%, please visit hackerearth.com/recruit. I will be sharing a few more resources shortly, and I'll also share our website link. But before we get into that, let's get into the main part of our event, because today we're joined by three exceptional experts from Epsilon India who are here to tell us about how to build future-ready marketing tech teams and what they've done to make them so successful in their entire field. So first, I'm going to introduce our panelists. We have Arun Rajaraman, who is the senior director of software engineering at Epsilon. He is a seasoned engineering leader with experience in technology and building enterprise software. Arun has 25 years of experience in product development. He has worked with a startup company in Pune, spent over 17 years at a publicly traded cybersecurity company in Bangalore, where he helped build email security and data loss prevention products. And most recently with Epsilon India, where he's responsible for product development of their award-winning loyalty platform, amongst various other products. Arun has a Bachelor's of Engineering degree in Computer Science from Pune University. He is very passionate about technology and enjoys solving customer problems and delighting the customers. He has vast experience in building high-performance engineering teams from the ground up. So Arun, thank you so much for joining us today, and we're excited to hear more from you. Our second panelist for the day is Mr. Mohan Jayaram, and at Epsilon, he leads the talent acquisition function overseeing India, APAC, and the Middle East. With his vast experience in building teams for diverse technology organizations, he is committed to enhancing the candidate experience and taking it to the next level. In his time at Epsilon India, he has played a role in expanding the organization to include 3,500 highly talented individuals. Thank you, Mohan, for joining us. And all the HR and recruiting questions today are going to be directed towards you, because I know we have a lot of interested developers here waiting to hear more. And finally, last but certainly not the least, we have Ms. Sowmya Venugopal, who is the Senior Manager of Software Engineering at Epsilon. With more than 18 years of professional experience, in her current role, she has been building and managing high-performing teams in big data, workflow-based automation, cloud data warehouse, Databricks, and microservices management of large-scale digital marketing products and solutions. She's previously worked with impressive companies like HCL, with Cisco as a client, developing many large-scale Cisco network management applications. Sowmya, thank you so much for joining us today. And it's always great to hear from a woman in tech, so we're excited to hear more from you as well. But let's get started with the questions that we have. So we released to our recruiter and developer community. We told them about the webinars that we planned, and we had a bunch of questions that came in, mainly around marketing technology and how you go about the entire process, what Epsilon is doing right now. So for the first question, I'm going to direct it towards Arun. The marketing tech industry is thriving right now. And with the current state of digital transformation, it's arguably one of the most sought after sectors to work in. So as a leader in marketing technology, what is your secret to attracting the best talent? And can you give us a little peek into your tech stack?
Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a long-winded answer to this, not really get to the question first. I think what we want to do is I want to talk about who we are first, right? So Epsilon is a global advertising and marketing technology company. And it's sort of positioned in the center of Publicis Group, right? So what do we do as a company, right? We connect advertisers with consumers to drive performance, ROI, while respecting and protecting consumer IP, right? And
Right.
client data. Now, let's look at our journey with Publicis. Now, let's go back to, let's say, Q2 of 2019, April-ish timeframe, when Publicis was a leader in advertising, decided to acquire Epsilon for a deal size of about $4 billion. Now, that's a pretty sizable size of acquisition, and that was largely for data and tech. Right, that was the sort of main genesis of why was Publicis after Epsilon. Right, now let's double click on the why. Right, what does Publicis stand to gain from this, and what's been our gain out of this whole acquisition? Right, this acquisition of Epsilon gives Publicis access to proprietary set of data that we have been generating for many years through marketing activities and our identity resolution capability, whether it is online, offline, covering 250 plus million US users and looking at 170 plus billion transactions, right? This also puts them in a unique ability to onboard clean and structured client first party data, which they can merge, like any Publicis could merge that with their unique ID and use AI tools to manage reach and frequency, right? And this also provides both the companies to get into cross-sell opportunities. This is for Epsilon clients and for Publicis current clients to spend more on data-related activities, and allows us to grow internationally as a company. Traditionally, we've been sort of operating and selling mostly in the US, but with this acquisition, it also opens up doors internationally, right? Now, our strength is in data and tech, as we talked about. So the strength is in the ID, right? Now, let me double click on what that is, right? Now, all of you would relate to this. Let me take this example. So when you look at something online, right, you see ads start to follow you, right? Now, what might happen is you might have bought something, or the same thing that you were looking for, or might have changed your mind, right? In both cases, if your marketing is relying on sort of small information or small data set and not looking at exhaustive ways, it's not going to be very effective, and it's not going to give you a full view of your customer, right? Now, what uniquely helps us do our position is we have a data set of names and addresses for 250 million people, right? And if you tie that in with, let's say, email address and phone number, and remove any directly identifiable info from there and make it sort of privacy safe, and in the digital world, if you make it privacy safe, and let's call that, let's say, a core ID, right? Now, that's very unique. And if you take that and build on this with, the integration that we have with 14,000 plus publishers, the transactions that we watch, websites and apps of hundreds and millions of people that people use, what you get to do is you're able to reach your customer at the right time with the right content, create ads based on lifestyle events and interests, right? And this will help us sort of with the power of real time and historic activities across all devices. It lets us not miss getting in touch with our customers when it matters, when it's relevant, and it's very contextually relevant. Right? Now, all products of Epsilon broadly leverage on this core ID. And we have a new CDP offering, which Sowmya will speak to. Loyalty uses it, messaging platform. All our products sort of leverage this, right? So that's broadly, Epsilon, Publicis acquisition, and what got them interested and in this whole space, right? And core ID, as you can see, is quite significant. Now, getting back to your question on the secret of hiring best talent, right? I think we need to look at a couple of things. One is award-winning products. We have all our products sort of on the Forrester Wave award-winning in the leadership quadrant, right? We have innovative ways to solve advertising and marketing problems. And I think if you look at people who are looking for jobs, they want to be working on products that are award-winning. They want to be doing innovative stuff and solving big problems, right? Products are all scalable, right? I mean, as in, we're talking about hundreds and thousands of people hitting these servers for data needs and whatnot, right? So this type of technology interests people in tech as well as business analysts alike, right? The tech stack essentially is a mix of public cloud. We are on AWS, a large footprint, Azure, GCP. We do application development using C++, Java, Node, UX, UI development, Angular, Node.js. We are into DevOps, SpecOps, CI/CD, databases, and whatnot, right? And speaking of product organization that I've been part of for the last 3 years, we operate in a fairly autonomous, self-contained manner. We have Scrum teams, which has got POs who give in the business side of the features that the teams are building. We've got dev, QA members in the team. We have documentation, Scrum masters to sort of make sure that, we are following the processes. And more importantly, it's not a setup where things are taken from the US and passed on to India to execute, right? So it's very autonomous. We get to do what it's carved out in a way that we get ownership, right? And everyone's involved in cutting edge work and have a seat on the table. And when I say that, you are involved in decision making, influencing product decisions, as well as the features that you want to build. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So can you tell me, just building off of, whatever you said about the whole autonomy that Epsilon has, right? And you said you're not just a company that passes on things from the US and back to India. Everyone's got a seat at the table. And I really like that. I think a lot of developers would want something like that, right? So can you give me a little bit of an example of how a day-to-day would look like and say, like, your team?
Right. So how we operate is we structure our product train to release once a quarter, okay? And we have planning sessions that happen at the beginning of the quarter where we decide, hey, we got to go do these 5 things, right? And then that work, and there are POs, product owners, product managers, across both locations sort of brainstorm and prioritize, hey, we got to build these 5 features. Now 4 we could probably do. If this is going to go under the waterline, we'll probably look at it, depending on availability. Now it's a very collaborative decision. Now, there are 2 parts to it. One is what the business is asking. Based on that, you come up with business sessions on how this is going to visualize, how it's going to look. And then we've got Scrum teams, like I said. So each product could have multiple Scrum teams, few in the US, few in India. Sometimes we have more teams here, less teams in the US, depending on the maturity of the product and the length of time it's been. Right now, what also happens after that is each product has got an engineering lead now and a product owner, typically who brings in insights from the business conversation. And then there's a tech approach decided saying, hey, this is what we want to build and this is how we want to build this, right? Now that aspect is typically done week 2 of the quarter, and we sort of decide these are the things that we want to build. Now each team sort of goes back, each Scrum team for each product goes and starts building the pieces that they're responsible for. And every 2 weeks, there are sprint demos where whatever you built is showcased. And towards the end of the release, you might have a hardening sprint where everything comes together and we release a version of the previous software. The new version comes out once a quarter. And obviously, we support multiple versions in the field. And there are maintenance releases that also are absorbed by all of these Scrum teams. But when I talked about autonomous, it's about how the teams are structured, how requirements come in, and we try and see making sure that the questions which are coming from the business is this product owner who can give those insights, and so that we don't have to do this back and forth, as little of that as we can. We do have meetings with the US and so on, but gives a sense of autonomy. It's not about, hey, go develop this is how you're going to go do it. So
got it. Thank you so much, Arun, for that. For our next question, I'm going to move on to Sowmya here, because this is a little bit, from what I hear, I know it's a little bit of your domain, right? So we've been hearing a lot about the adoption of AI within the marketing sector and how it's been constantly rising. And I'm sure our audience here is well aware of that. Like every second sentence on the internet has ChatGPT mentioned somewhere. So Epsilon is known as a company that is constantly innovating in marketing tech products to meet the demands of the industry. Arun, you mentioned it as well. And so, Sowmya, can you tell us a little bit about the new products and areas of focus within of 2023 within the sector, what you're working on right now?
Thank you, Rebecca. So I would like to take this into two parts. First, talking about Epsilon's new product and the areas of focus for 2023, followed by the area involvement of these products. So firstly, I would like to talk a little bit about the first generation CDP. So in the past, what we have seen is the first generation CDPs, they were primarily focused on unifying a collection of customer data across touch points for analysis purpose. And they were having incomplete, inaccurate, and disjointed view of individual people. And the brands actually struggled to shine a light on their customers from a 360-degree view. And here is where I think Epsilon Digital CDP, which Arun also mentioned. So this is one of the new products that has launched recently. So this product helps significantly, being the first and only self-service CDP environment that can provide this 360-degree view of the customer and actively engage with campaigns across owned and paid channels. And it allows the marketers to truly activate and engage with the customers natively. And it provides unique audience creation and activation so that it can include exclusive browser behavior across your site and the open web, thereby giving you more value from your first party data. And not only that, it gives you a lot of insights, giving more details about the customer behavior, right? And adding to the point that the context that Arun provided on the core ID, I would like to say that digital CDP is powered with this well-known identity resolution technology. And the agility and richness of the core ID, it allows the marketers to reach consumers across all channels, maintaining the data separation as well, right? Now touching upon the other question that you had asked about, the adoption of AI within the Epsilon products. I would like to highlight some of the key capabilities and innovation of Epsilon Digital CDP integrated with these machine learning models such as value attrition potential model and customer lifecycle segmentation model. So just to give a little context on what these actual models are and what they can bring value to the table is value attrition potential model. It's a scoring engine, right? That helps to analyze past purchase history to automatically generate value attrition and potential segments, right? So it can inform the marketing strategies and investments for different populations, and it can tell us on the value segment, which is the net sales, which within a given time period, right? And it also can tell us about the likelihood for a customer attrition. Right? And the customer lifecycle segmentation model, it helps to categorize each customer into strategic segments based on a role-based distribution. So, for example, it can indicate how recently the customer made a purchase, right? and the number of transactions made by the customer, the monetary indications measured by the total purchase amount of the customer. So to summarize, with digital CDP, brands can now see the significance behind native activation and having a full view of the customer in a single privacy-safe environment. And it would definitely help building more lifetime value with customers and improving the business outcomes. So that is what I would like to summarize here, Rebecca.
Okay, thank you so much, Sowmya. And I'm just going to follow up, with one thing. From an industry standpoint, what do you see marketing heading towards? What are some predictions that, you might have for what the future would look like in the industry? I know you said there's a lot of AI, there's a lot of, products that are helping people make more informed decisions. And do you think that's a trend that, you'd see throughout the rest of the year as well? Where do you see it going from here?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I just mentioned about the one or two models like, value attrition, potential and customer life cycle segmentation model, there are so many other models that, are being planned and integrated into digital CDP in the coming year. And it is all going to be, translated into, showing so many different analytics and insights into the digital CDP application, which is like giving a single point of view, single perspective, right, to the marketeers. And I believe the more such analytical insights are provided, it instantly provides, the marketeers the 360 view about any such analytics, be it the site tag behavior or be it the attrition or the potential that the customer is having at any point of time. So definitely, I think the path forward for and the area of focus for 2023 with these products is basically about how we can enhance and bring in more insights which can give those informed decisions to the customers.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Sowmya. So we have another question from a lot of our developers, and I think I'm going to direct this at Mohan because it is more your domain. What sets many companies apart from the competition is, of course, the culture. And we'd like to know a little bit more about Epsilon's culture. Why is Epsilon consistently rated as the best place to work? Can you tell us a little bit about that and what's your secret?
Sure. Just to sum up what Arun and Sowmya spoke about, I think this is a perfect segue to talk about Epsilon culture and what enables this to be a great place. Arun spoke about how Epsilon sits in the core of our Publicis. He looked at the product innovations which happen out of the India Center. Sowmya spoke about digital CDP and how is machine learning and all of that integrated in a product portfolio. But before I jump on to talking about culture, I wanted to touch upon a great article I read on Gartner. Apparently, Gartner says that employees today are seeking more personal value and purpose from their jobs. And that is two important factors they want to look at in a prospective employer. And especially after the pandemic, okay, and all the uncertainty the pandemic has brought. Okay, so Gartner calls it the human deal. And what is human deal all about? It has 5 components built into it. The first one is going to be talking about deeper connections. The second one is radical flexibility. The third is personal growth. The fourth is holistic well-being. And the fifth is shared purpose. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about the Epsilon culture and what makes all this innovation happen at Epsilon. So for Epsilon India to be fostering a culture, what employees can bring the best selves to work, we focus on the employee life cycle, and we would like to call this as moments that matter. Right from our hiring process to helping them grow both professionally and personally, we have a robust L&D program for all employees across levels, and we encourage community learning. And this could be done in different ways, including hackathons and ideation forums. We also prioritize employee well-being and benefits like health checkups, days of rest, the employee assistance program for furthering your studies, And we do take regular feedback from our employees, and we have a mechanism in place to do that. Moving on a little bit on diversity, which is quite important, moving on to both diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's one of our core values, and we celebrate the differences that makes us unique. We partner with organizations like Jobs for Her and Pride Circle, and we hire and retain very diverse talent. We were recently recognized in 2023 for innovative hiring practices as a part of the Diversity Awards. In terms of outreach, we believe in giving back to our communities, and we have sponsored the education of 30 students at a school called Shanti Bhavan, and we also built a dormitory for them last year. Okay, so to wind it up, I'm proud to say that Epsilon has received the Great Place to Work recognitions last year, including the Best certified as the Great Place to Work, being named one of India's top 100 best workplaces for women and one of India's top 100 best workplaces in the IT and the BPM space. So in summary, I would say Epsilon India, we prioritize our employees' personal value, the purpose of work, creating a supportive and inclusive environment that encourages growth, innovation, and community impact. And this put together sort of helps us to drive great products from the India Center.
That's really nice to hear, especially, having so many great titles under your belt, right? Great Place to Work for Women, Great Place to Work, partnering with things like the Pride Circle, etc. Can you tell me a little bit about your tech culture as well, and how have developers felt with the learning opportunities that you've been able to give them? And also something you said a little bit earlier about hackathons.
Yeah.
Given that, we are from HackerEarth and hackathons are our specialty, can you tell us a little bit about that too?
Yeah, so just to touch upon, we have a partnership ongoing with HackerEarth, and there's an upcoming hackathon coming up in May for anybody who's interested to participate. But to your question about the learning and development opportunities for our developers, it's something which at Epsilon we believe that you have to own your learning opportunities. So your individual development plans is something which you come up and speak to us about, and we enable that to you. So the learning and development team will help you through the process of getting more technically equipped. And we also have a system where if we feel that there's an interesting opportunity in another project or another technical skill sets, we sort of enable you to move into that new role. So it's a combination of what comes from an individual in terms of where they want to go and what they want to learn towards how we enable it at Epsilon.
Okay, great to hear. Just one more question for you. We have a lot of recruiters as well. I know I've been saying developers in the audience and stuff, but we also have recruiters who are interested into moving into, a sector like marketing technology. So when you did, can you tell us a little bit about, what your journey was like, and what does it take for someone to be skilled to move into marketing technology? Is there a special skill set that you need to require? Is there something else that you can do to upskill yourself if you want to go into such an industry?
Yeah, I think I was going to touch upon this as my answer to the next question, but I'm going to talk to you about what is the spectrum of skills one can look at in MarTech, right? It's a combination of what Arun and Sowmya spoke, which is, hey, you need to have good product engineering skills. You have to have a bent of mind to look at innovations. But there's so much out of that too, right? We are looking at dealing with a lot of data. So we are always constantly looking at people with analytics background, the machine learning background. There's a lot of campaigns which we do. There's a creative side to it. Those folks who are really interested in digital marketing can look at that. And there's also sales. And then all of this at the end of the day needs support, because products which is deployed at the customer or the client location need support. So anybody who's interested in product support or the customer success are great candidates for this. So from a recruiter's perspective, there's a whole lot of skills you may already have. You may just have to sharpen your knowledge about the domain and then marry the both in terms of the technical skills and the domain knowledge. So I would say that is what is the need of the hour.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Mohan. I'm going to get into our last question, which is, I'm sure, playing on everyone's mind. Recruiting processes can be so different among different organizations, right? It's one of the things that our developer audience here is hoping to learn the most about. So I'm just putting this out there to all the panelists. So tell us a little bit about Epsilon's recruiting process for tech hiring and what developers should pay heed to at each stage. So Arun, why don't we start with you?
Right. So it's never one size fits all, right? So you typically, if you look at it, I would say we would have about 3 tech rounds, and depending on your role and seniority that you are applying for, there could be a bunch of rounds, maybe 1 or 2 more, right? That's the interviews that happen, the discussions that happen, right? And depending on the role, we could administer a multiple choice question test that assesses your skills that we are hiring for. There could be a programming test wherein you might have to write code online or write and submit. It could be a case study where you could be asked to break down a problem and tell us how would you approach it, how would you solve it. We also utilize hackathons, and as Mohan was telling, there's one coming up in May. So people who are interested should look at that on your platform. Also, which is unique, is we also sometimes hire people for aspirational roles, which may not be open at any given point in time, but we could quickly open and onboard people who have the right skills for the job. Right? Now, the question is, tips that would come in for prospective candidates out there. Now, what should I be looking at if I'm seeking a job in Epsilon, right? So I would say broadly, keen to solve problems, liking to work in a fast-paced and a challenging, interesting domain, like tech, new development in the industry and all that, right? If you're one of those, you should give it a go. Personally, I've had the fortune or misfortune of not working at many companies, but for me, I think in the last 3 years, I haven't seen any other employer I've been at who has adopted technology at the pace we do it here, right? So I think that would be my sort of response to your question.
Got it. Thank you. And moving into Sowmya, would you have anything to add to that?
Well, yeah. So, like as Arun said, right, it's not one size that fits all. So, just expanding on what Arun just said. So, at Epsilon, with the my 3 years, close to 3 years of experience, what I've seen is customer centricity and building highly scalable platforms on the cloud with data-driven product engineering is the top priority. So having said this, one needs to have that problem solver mindset that Mohan and Arun highlighted, and one needs to think critically with a learner's mindset on design thinking, unlearning and relearning new technologies as they come in, right? And one needs to have a system level awareness about the big picture on how the applications are ideated, designed, developed, tested and deployed at scale. Now, adding to what Arun talked about on the common process and technologies with respect to how we, on the hiring process, I would like to say that, add here that, the top 5 key skills one should pay heed to is continuous learning, innovation, agility, quality, security, the DevOps mindset with cloud, and being data savvy. Right. And in tech considerations for most of the Epsilon products, having the experience of handling large scale data with a strong experience in tools that deal with data wrangling, analytics, SQL skills, Spark will be of advantage to thrive in the next wave of product evolution. And of course, deep focus on application development, microservices, along with UI, SpecOps, DevOps is already we have talked about. And I would like to also highlight about immense focus on the QA, the quality automation as well, which is heavily followed as a practice, as a good practice at Epsilon. I think this is what anyone should pay heed to. These are the top factors.
Yes, thank you. And from a HR's perspective, Mohan, I'm going to get your opinion here.
Sure. Arun and Sowmya spoke about skills which would require, but if you look at it from an Epsilon India perspective, I will categorize what we hire into 6 buckets, right? The first one being anything to do with product and technology, which Sowmya and Arun already told in terms of the type of skills we require. Being a MarTech company, we actually work with a huge amount of data. So we're always on the lookout for great data scientists, analytics professionals. Okay, so that's something which we look at. All of these are from a customer's point of view. So we're looking at great customer success folks who can join us and be the face of Epsilon. If you're passionate about technical sales and passionate about the type of products we have developed, we always have room for people with sales background. And of course, being a MarTech company, we always are on the constant lookout for digital marketing professionals, SEO and SEM specialists, email specialists, and so on. And the end, we do have operations, and we have a lot of people we hire through the operations, which could be anything to do with your product support and your project managers and your program managers and all of that. So that's in a nutshell what we do at Epsilon India, and it's across a wide range of skills which we hire.
Okay, thank you, Mohan. I'm just going to give the audience a chance to put in any questions that they might have in the Q&A box here, or you can always ping me on chat as well. We have a couple of other questions which when we released to our recruiter community that came up with, the whole Epsilon hiring process as well. From an engineering standpoint, I think this I'm going to direct to Sowmya, because we had a lot of questions about women in tech. And I think, Mohan, you can chime in too about, diversity hiring and what is Epsilon doing to encourage more women in tech?
Yeah, so from my experience here at Epsilon, I believe, I can vouch here that, there is, it's basically like equal opportunities and more challenging opportunities, along with a lot of learning and development that is given to women associates here, and along with the flexibility to, have a good work-life balance. And, kudos to the leadership at Epsilon. So there's a lot of, thought process and planning into, even, as we, go to offices and workplace when we work. So while coming back from offices, if it is late, so there are HR processes and everything set up for women employees. So I would say that, as Mohan also highlighted, that Epsilon is one of the, 100 organizations who have been recognized for the best places for women to work. It speaks for itself, and I would say that we get all the independence that we have to the power of expressing our thoughts, our ideas, and any opportunities that come into play. We are given the best out of it. So that is what I would like to say here.
And Mohan, you have any?
Yeah. So adding on to what Sowmya said, our external partnerships with organizations like Jobs for Her helps us to actually attract a lot of women into the work stream. One program we are proud about is called as She Rises. She Rises is a program for women restarters who have taken a break and they want to come back into the workforce. So Epsilon has a 6-month internship program through which we hire women on a career break and then help them to upskill and get them ready for full-time opportunities. In terms of our referral programs, we do encourage our internal employees to refer, and there's double the referral for all women hires. So, and of course, as a part of career progression, we have proactive measures which we take so that women employees see the career path and then they feel inclusive in the organization.
Great. So I have a question here in the chat. What are some open data science positions at Epsilon now? So, any of you can take this up. Mohan, would you like to go ahead?
Sure. There's a list of current open opportunities on the Epsilon website. Do check it out on LinkedIn. I don't have the specifics of the particular role, but we are always looking at machine learning professionals, people with data analytics background. The specific skills would be listed out as a part of those job descriptions. Do go and look at our LinkedIn page and feel free to apply there.
Yeah, and just to follow up, maybe you can talk a little bit about the skills that are needed as well for different ML positions.
Okay, so that's my answer is going to be the same. Yeah, if you want the very specific details of what type of ML skills you need, and you may want to go and look at a careers page and then apply based on what your experience is. But happy to connect on a one-on-one basis and then talk to you about it.
Okay, so I don't see any other questions that we have right now. So I'm just going to open it again to our panelists. If you have anything else to add about, products that you're working on at Epsilon right now, or any parting thoughts to developers as well as recruiters, is there anything that, as a parting thought you'd like to tell our audience, and then maybe we can close up. For our audience, if you have any questions or think about anything a little later on, you can always reach out to me. And I think we can put in one of the Epsilon emails as well over there. You can reach out to Epsilon via their hiring page as well for any questions on specific recruiting processes and information about any hiring opportunities that are available. Sorry, Arun, did you want to say something?
No, I just unmuted myself. Maybe Mohan, you could start.
Yeah, in terms of the opportunities, Rebecca, I think it's good for people to reach out to us. I'm not sure whether we can give our email IDs because we don't want to be.
No, of course not. We can let's leave that to the hiring page. You can always reach out via the hiring page itself.
But just to sum it up, I think Epsilon India is going through a growth phase, and we have been in this phase for the last 5-6 years. So there's a lot of exciting opportunities out there for every individual across experience ranges. So I would say go back and have a look at it, and then you should be able to look at the opportunities there. But I would give you a generic email ID. You can write to us. It's called as talentprograms@epsilon.com. If you have any queries there, do drop in, and we will help you connect with the right hiring manager or the recruiter concerned. It's talentprograms@epsilon.com.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's it then. We don't have any other questions that are coming in. Thank you so much to our panelists for taking the time out to attend this webinar and give us your important insights and tell us so much about what's happening at Epsilon India right now, all the exciting stuff that's happening there. I'm sure, this was an invaluable session for anyone looking to get into marketing technology. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to us about the webinar. And please do fill in our survey form at the end. Tell us how you like the webinar, if there are any future webinars that you'd like to see, and anything else that you'd like to comment about the whole thing. Thank you, Arun. Thank you, Mohan. And thank you, Sowmya, for joining us today. I hope you have a great rest of the week. And
thank you for hosting us, and thank you to HackerEarth.
Hey, thank you, guys. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And for anyone who's interested in the upcoming hackathon, the link has been provided in the chat below. So you can check out that as well as all the other upcoming hackathons on the HackerEarth website. Thank you so much. Please do fill in our survey form and tell us how you like the webinar.
Okay. See you guys.